Campgrounds are notoriously known for being a big expense when you want to travel in an RV, but are there any ways to curb the costs? And after 1 year of living on the road full time, Jess and I have found 3 main ways to help save, and we're going to give them away to you for free. If you've been keeping up with us for a while now, first off, thank you for spending your Sunday evenings with us. And you know, we've been home for about 2 months and some change, hanging out with friends and family for the holidays. And we got invited to one of our friends' wedding in early February. Yeah. So at the time I'm recording this, it's coming up pretty soon. And it's been great. Being home, we have loved being able to spend time with as much people as we can. But the itch to travel again it's getting real. It is getting kind of, I don't know.
I need to scratch it.
Yeah, it's getting a little itchy. We got to scratch our little itch to travel, I would say.
Yeah. So we tallied everything up. I should say you tallied everything up.
I did the heavy lifting of everything.
Yes, he did. So we were actually kind of a little surprised with some of the things that we learned. Some pleasantly surprised and some just surprised.
Yeah.
One of the things that we were somewhat pleasantly surprised with is how many miles total we drove with the RV hitched up on the actual truck, which was 10,200?
Yeah, like 10,200 and what was it, 4 miles or something like that?
Yeah. I thought it was going to be a lot more. Today's main focus is really to share with you guys how much we've spent on campgrounds in all of 2024 during our travels, and also share 3 different ways that we have saved throughout the year that we kind of feel is pretty effective for us.
Meaning, it works.
Yes, it worked for us. So we're gonna go on ahead and give you guys the monthly breakdown for, again, all of 2024. And hopefully your math is right because...
Hope so too.
Full disclaimer, we've mentioned this before, I'll mention it again. We used 1,000 Trails for our membership during our first year traveling in 2024. So essentially what we did is we took up the totals for both of our memberships and we just divided it by 12, so 12 months out of the year, so that we can get a monthly estimate for how much we were spending every month. Mm-hmm. And what does that look like? You want to get started?
Yeah, so in addition to what we spent on non-membership campgrounds, 1,000 Trails by itself was $125.44, but you can just do some quick math, $125.42 times 12, and then you'll get what we spent. And we're gonna give you the cost on a monthly basis, and then at the very end, we're gonna total everything up and share with you what we spent on a yearly basis last year just on campgrounds. January, that was $845.42 in January.
February, we were looking at $786.26.
And in March, looks to be $647.41.
April, we're at $333.75. April was a good month.
Yeah, that was a very nice. What happened? Oh,
we were in Arizona. Okay. No, we were in California. We were in California.
So this is when we started hitting 1,000 Trails pretty heavy. We only used 1,000 Trails exclusively. And we would, on the weekends, supplement like a day, a night, we would use like a hip camp or, that was pretty much it. We were just using hip camp at the time. Mm-hmm. And it might be, I don't know, $50-$60 a night.
Yeah, give or take.
For an overnight stay. Mm-hmm. And that's where most of those costs are coming from. Plus the $125 from 1,000 Trails.
Yeah. So April was a good month, very surprising and kind of needed in California. Mm-hmm. What about May?
May, we spent $510.41, which, when you think about it, it's like, how did we spend if we were using 1,000 Trails all the time, and that was $125, how are we spending so much on the other ones? Mm-hmm. And we'll get there in a second.
June, we were looking at $360.97.
And then in July, $423.41.
It was another good month, yeah. August, our birthday months, mine, yours September. It's like literally right there. We're 2 days apart. We were looking at $383.15.
Just very nice.
It's very nice.
And then in September, here comes an outlier month. This was the anomaly right here. And we spent $1,850.49 just on campgrounds. So
yeah, we'll TBD on that, and so we can give you the deets on what happened in September.
Yeah.
September was a rough month.
A little pricey.
In October was also a little high up there, so we're looking at $1,122.82.
And in November, we spent $572.24. So compared to September and October, November was a little easier on the wallet for us.
Yeah, it was a nice amount to see. We welcome that. Lastly, December, we spent $590.56.
So with a grand total of $8,426.89.
And this is including Thousand Trails.
Yes. So this includes our membership, which we spent $1,505 just on Thousand Trails alone.
This is including discounts though, because every year, or well, every month, they appear to have some type of like discount.
Have you ever been to Walmart and you see something that's like on rollback or like on sale? Do they even do rollback anymore?
I don't think you're showing your age, sweetheart.
19 something. And so you ever go to Walmart and you see something else on sale, and then you go like a month later and that same item's on sale, and you go a month later and the same item's on sale. That's the way Thousand Trails operates. Like they always got some kind of program running year round that it's going to end in a few days and X, Y, and Z when you call.
Air quote, end in a few days.
Yeah. So this is kind of how they operate.
That's how they get you.
So I think we need to explain September just a little bit, because compared to the previous months, that just, and even on 2024, it just stood out by itself. I mean, that's nearly double of everywhere else we spent.
Yeah, September and October were pretty up there. So that was definitely unusual.
And the reason why September was, or looks as bad as it does, is, and you kind of got to understand the psychology behind this a little bit. We had just come off 1,000 Trails, which we were using since April. And most of the parks that we went to on that side of the country, I'm talking about like Northern California, Oregon, Washington, don't have full hookups. It's very rare to have full hookups, 50 amps, everything that you need to like feel comfortable, and you don't, kind of decreases your amount of work as an RVer.
Did we ever find out why? I remember complaining about that. Well, me complain when it's really him that has to go and
do the little thing out there,
I do everything inside, okay? So, did we ever find out why?
Not really. Some Thousand Trails, they are bought out from other campgrounds, and so they just don't renovate them.
Yeah.
Some are just Thousand Trails managed. Some they actually own. But for that side, I'm not really sure why, because Thousand Trails in Texas, when we first started, was full hookup, and that was kind of our expectation. But
we were spoiled, and then coming to not full hookup, no sewage, it was just kind of like, gosh, more work.
Yeah. So, coming off of having to carry your own totes for about 3 months, we were excited to leave Thousand Trails, and we didn't care the amount of what we're about to spend. So we just kind of splurged, and we were excited to just have full hookups, 50 amps again. And so we just spent on whatever. We did kind of crack down in October, I believe.
Yeah, it was a little less. It was still a little high, but...
Also, doing monthly stays will help you out, and that's a tip we'll get to in a second. But that's why October was a little less, was due to the fact that we stayed there the entire month at one campground, and they'll give you a monthly rate, versus if you stay like 4 weeks at 4 different campgrounds, they're going to give you the weekly rate, and which is a lot higher than...
That's one of the tips. We're foreshadowing into the future.
Yeah, so just hang around.
Who is texting you, sir?
I don't know, somebody responding on my on the Instagram over at RV Rebels on Instagram.
Who's DMing you?
Ain't nobody DMing me. And so one of the first spots we stayed at in September, we were staying in Swan Valley, Idaho. And this was the airfield. Like, it was a young couple who had bought an old rundown private airfield or airport. is it airfield, airport? I don't know. Some guy had an old airplane, just him by himself, owned his own airstrip, everything. So they bought it out, renovated it for RVs, and have maybe 30, 40 sites over there. Beautiful place, right behind the Grand Tetons, about 45 minutes away from Jackson, Wyoming. If you guys want to know more, just comment down below where that spot's at, and I'll just be happy to give it to you. But that was a beautiful spot. So that cost us a little bit because we stayed there 2 weeks, and you don't get the monthly rate, so you get the weekly rate. So that was...
It was still worth it, though, in my opinion.
Very much worth it. We were excited just to be away from Thousand Trails.
Yeah, we're actually planning on staying back again, and we'll do a longer stay this time around.
All that to say, just to summarize why September was so expensive, was we were tired of roughing it for about 3 months, and a lack of research. We didn't actually do a ton of research. We just saw something, we liked it, and we booked it. And that's kind of a mistake as well.
Rookies.
Yep.
Gosh. So we've talked about how much it's cost us our first year on the road. Now let's go on ahead and discuss 3 different ways that could potentially save you some money. So Trey touched on this earlier, actually, is if you stay a little bit longer than a week or 2 weeks, if you do longer term stays, you could talk to the owners and potentially work on getting a discount. So instead of getting a weekly rate, you could get a monthly rate. And that'll work out to be a little bit cheaper. Getting a Good Sam's membership, too. That is honestly going to help you out as well. Like anytime that we try to call and make reservations, that's probably the first thing that I ask is like, hey, we have a Good Sam's membership. Do you guys offer discounts for members? And
so whenever you have your Good Sam's membership, you would just call your campground ahead of time when you're looking to make the reservation. And you would just, hey, do you guys accept Good Sam's memberships or anything like that? And they'll tell you what they do, what they don't accept. Most accept military, some accept like senior citizen discounts. Some of them I've called and they just offer like, hey, use my name as a host in the little discount dialog box, and you get like a 20% off discount. So always ask before calling, or don't always ask before calling, but when you call, before you book, always ask for a discount. 80% of the time, we have called and gotten some sort of a 10, 15, 20, 25% discount just by asking, do you have some form of discount or do you take Good Sam's? So keep that in mind.
So the third tip that we would have is just really call the front office and just ask. It doesn't hurt to ask like, hey, do y'all offer any discounts? 9, maybe 8 out of 10 times that you do ask, they will have some. So just ask. Bonus tip though.
And this is for you guys if you want to have 1,000 Trails memberships. So we included this. I know we're not big fans of it, but we know that there's going to be folks who do want to use it. So here's a tip for you.
It really did save us some money. Like going over the totals, it did save us some money. And if it's going to be your first time on the road, you really want to try it out, why not? If you're not married, this is a technicality, okay? Let me preface it with that. It is a technicality. If you're not married, you and your spouse can both have memberships with just one RV. Now, they don't want you to know that. They don't want you to do that. That's why I say it's a technicality, because they kind of end up losing money. But you can hop around from park to park. So how does that work? I had a membership. Trey had a membership. We both had our memberships to where we could only stay 14 nights before we had to stay 7 nights out of the system. Well, once my 14 nights were up, we would go to another park and we would use Trey's membership. And so it was just flip-flop, back and forth. So we never actually really had to stay out of the system those 7 nights. That's if you choose the membership we had.
Right. And that's how we kind of hacked California a little bit to save on some costs there, because one, gas is going to eat you alive in California. And we actually didn't buy the second. You had the primary membership when we first hit the road, and she had all the zones. I bought one as soon as we were going to California. I had bought one because we were at a point where we were going to realize California was going to cost us a lot of money for the amount of time we were going to spend there. I think we spent about a month and a half to 2 months in California.
We spent a long time in California. I mean, we enjoyed it, but definitely for the price, we needed to do something.
And there are some good campgrounds in California. You don't have to do these things that route we did. I would just avoid Russian River. A whole nother, that video we talked about a minute ago, that'll explain why too. But you can do that. Just know if you're going to go with 1,000 Trails and try to have 2 memberships, if you're not married, you do have to have 2 separate addresses. So you can use your home address, and then you're going to have to use your parents' address for the other one, or something else, and just a friend's address, whatever. They just have to have somewhere to send flyers and mail to, and kind of all that good stuff. So
do not specifically state it though, because again, it's a technicality, but they will try to sway you against it.
And there's a reason we're bringing this up now, as we decided to discard our membership, because we had somewhat of a fear to be found out. If we would have released this information through a video and somehow this would have gotten back to 1,000 Trails, we were afraid they were going to cancel our memberships. So that's why I wouldn't, if you do want to use this trick, just kind of keep it to yourself.
But that's not the only reason why we did away with our 1,000 Trails memberships. There are plenty of other reasons. It's great for our freshman year. Now that we're heading on to our sophomore year on the road, we have a little bit more experience, and I'm not saying that we didn't take it seriously our first year, but now we know what to do and what not to do, have an idea, so...
And plus, we're planning on staying at least 3-4 weeks at most campgrounds that we're going to be at. 1,000 Trails with the membership tier that we had wouldn't allow for that. Like you said, they would allow 14 days in and 7 days out. So we were on the road a good bit. It was exciting. I think that worked for us our freshman year because we were excited and we just wanted to travel and move. And I think this year is just going to have a slightly different vibe, just a little bit longer stays, be able to enjoy where we're at. Because that was about halfway through the year. That's something that we noticed, was that we were just kind of passing through. That's what it felt like at every 2 weeks. Instead
2 weeks goes by like
it does. It goes by so much, because you think about a 2-week vacation when you go on like a cruise or something, and how long that lasts. And you're like, oh, that's plenty of time. But whenever you try to go check out somewhere new, it's nothing.
It's nothing. And I mean, you're moving your rig every 2 weeks, and it also just leads up to potential damage, potential repairs you'll have to make. So we'll definitely be doing things a lot different this year.
And I'm looking forward to being able to explore more of where we're at. That's what I'm all about, is being able to explore like a local, and being able to just go enjoy the spot that we're at. And so maybe by now you're surprised positively by how much we've spent, or negatively by how much we spent, but we just wanted to share the truth with you guys. As of late, it's been somewhat of a hot topic in the RV community, and something that we just kind of want to shed some light on. Something that I just recently learned, actually at the campground that we're at, I was able to chat with a gentleman who's been doing this for about 5 years, and apparently campgrounds didn't used to be all this expensive. When Jess and I first started, we had no baseline of what campgrounds cost. So whenever we were checking prices, we just thought it was always like that. But apparently something happened in the RV industry as a whole during COVID, and everything just exploded, and even just RVs went up in price, campground went up in price, everything just skyrocketed.
What happened? Y'all want to tell me? Tell us? I've been curious about that too. I mean, everyone had cabin fever, so I don't know. Everyone all collectively just said, you know what? We're going to get an RV and
travel. So the good news is that new RV campgrounds are springing up everywhere. I think in the last year that we were on the road, I think the last few stays, actually, last couple months on the road, we stayed at, I think...
They were all new.
All of them.
Relatively very new. Even the one that we're currently staying at now was
within a year
new.
or two, everything was brand spanking new, with full hookups, 50 amps, kind of beating out the older campgrounds that are just a little bit smaller. Don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with older campgrounds, but they're for bigger rigs, because they are getting bigger. They will accommodate those for the newer ones.
So we've talked about our total yearly cost for all of the campgrounds that we've stayed at. If you want to take a look at our favorite and least favorite campgrounds, you'll link a video.
It's going to be on that side.
On this side? You can take a look at this video here where we kind of took a deep dive on some of our favorite and least favorite campgrounds. Russian River.
Yes. And we will see you guys next Sunday in our next film. So peace out, much love, and we see you next week.
Peace out.